It was a rainy Thursday evening when Mark sat in his office, gazing out of the window, feeling the weight of routine bearing down on him. The monotonous hum of the city, the never-ending pile of paperwork, and the constant notifications on his phone were too much. He needed a break, a reset, something to snap him out of the gray fog that had enveloped his life. "Let's go to Bali," he had said to Rachel just 2 weeks earlier, bursting with enthusiasm as he presented a brochure filled with images of pristine beaches and lush jungles. But Rachel, always the responsible one, had hesitated. "Mark, I can't just leave work right now. I need more time to plan, to inform my team. Can't we wait a month?" A month felt like an eternity to Mark. His restlessness had grown unbearable, and despite Rachel's protests, he made a decision that would change everything. "I'll go alone then. I need this wretch. I can't wait." Rachel had been taken aback, hurt even, but she knew Mark too well. His adventurous spirit and impatience often led to impulsive decisions. She reluctantly agreed, thinking a week apart wouldn't hurt. The first few days in Bali were everything Mark had dreamed of. He lounged on the beach, surfed the azure waves, and explored hidden temples. He sent Rachel pictures and messages, trying to reassure her that everything was fine, but there was an underlying tension in their conversations. He felt a pang of guilt but brushed it off, convincing himself that he deserved this break. One night, at a beach bar, Mark met a group of fellow travelers. Among them was Lisa, a free-spirited photographer with a penchant for adventure. They clicked instantly, bonding over stories of their travels and dreams. Lisa's carefree attitude was infectious, and soon, Mark found himself extending his stay by a few more days, ignoring Rachel's calls and messages. Halfway through his second week, as he sipped on a coconut cocktail, Mark's phone buzzed with a notification from his travel app. His return flight was in 24 hours. Panic set in as he realized how disconnected he had become, not just physically but emotionally from Rachel. Mark decided to spend his last day in solitude, reflecting on his actions. He hiked up to a secluded cliffside overlooking the ocean, a spot Lisa had recommended. As the sun set, casting golden hues over the water, he felt a deep sense of regret. He missed Rachel, missed their life together. The excitement of Bali had faded, replaced by a longing for home. Mark's return flight was uneventful, but his mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. He rehearsed his apology to Rachel, dreading the confrontation but knowing it was necessary. He hoped she would understand, hoped they could move past his impulsiveness. As he stepped into their apartment, he immediately sensed something was off. The place was eerily quiet, too clean, and there were signs that Rachel had been busy. A faint smell of fresh paint lingered in the air, and the furniture seemed to have been rearranged. "Rachel?" he called out, his voice echoing through the hallway. There was no answer. He dropped his bags and made his way to the living room, where he found a note on the coffee table. The note was simple, written in Rachel's neat handwriting. "Mark, I needed some time to think. I'll be back soon. Don't worry." Rachel. Mark's heart sank. He hadn't anticipated this. The realization hit him hard. His actions had consequences, and now he had to face them. As he stood there, the apartment suddenly felt too big, too empty. But then he noticed something peculiar. There was a second note partially hidden under the first. It was a scribble, hurried and less formal PS. "Look in the study." Confused and curious, Mark made his way to the study. He opened the door and froze. There, on the desk, was a laptop with a video queued up. He clicked play, and Rachel's face appeared on the screen. "Hey, Mark. If you're seeing this, it means you're back. I need you to watch this video and understand something important." The video paused, and Mark's heart raced. What was Rachel trying to tell him? What had happened while he was away? He took a deep breath and pressed play again, bracing himself for what was to come. The screen flickered back to life, and Rachel's voice filled the room, calm but tinged with an undercurrent of sadness. "Mark, I've been thinking a lot while you were away. Your decision to leave without me was a wake-up call. It made me realize how disconnected we've become. It's not just about this trip. It's about us, our life together. We've been drifting apart, and I can't ignore it anymore. Mark's heart pounded as he listened, guilt washing over him. He hadn't expected Rachel to feel this way. The video continued, Rachel's eyes searching his through the screen. I needed this time to think, to figure out what I want. And I've come to a decision. I'm gonna stay with my sister for a while. We need space, Mark. Both of us. To understand what we really want from this relationship. Mark felt a surge of panic. Space. What did that mean for them? He couldn't lose her, not like this. The video ended with Rachel's face softening. I love you, Mark. But we need to figure out if we're still on the same path. I hope you understand. He sat there, the room closing in around him. He knew he had to do something to fight for their relationship. But where to start? He decided to go to Rachel's sister's house, hoping to talk things through with her. Mark arrived at Rachel's sister's house, his mind racing. He knocked on the door, heart in his throat. Sarah, Rachel's sister, opened the door, her expression a mix of surprise and concern. Mark, what are you doing here? I need to talk to Rachel, he said, desperation in his voice. Please, Sarah, I need to make things right. Sarah sighed and stepped aside, letting him in. She's in the backyard. Just be honest with her, Mark. Mark found Rachel sitting on a bench, her eyes distant as she stared at the garden. She looked up as he approached, a mix of surprise and resignation on her face. Mark, what are you doing here? I couldn't just let things end like this, he said, sitting down beside her. Rachel, I'm so sorry. I was selfish and impulsive. I thought I needed a break. But what I really needed was to realize how important you are to me. Rachel looked away, her eyes welling up. It's not just about the trip, Mark. It's about us. We've been living parallel lives, not really connecting. I need to know if we can fix that. Mark took a deep breath. I know, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I've been so caught up in my own world that I didn't see how much I was hurting you. But I want to change that. I want us to find our way back to each other. They talked for hours, laying bare their fears, hopes, and frustrations. It was a raw, painful conversation, but also a healing one. By the time they were done, they both felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. The following weeks were challenging. Mark and Rachel decided to take things slowly, focusing on rebuilding their connection. They started seeing a couples therapist, learning to communicate better and understand each other's needs. One evening, as they sat on the couch, Rachel turned to Mark, a small smile playing on her lips. I've been thinking, maybe we should plan a trip together, somewhere we both want to go, but we'll take our time and plan it properly. Mark's heart swelled with hope. I'd like that. How about Italy? We've always talked about going there. Rachel nodded, her eyes sparkling for the first time in a while. Italy sounds perfect. As they planned their trip, Mark realized that this was just the beginning. Their relationship was far from perfect, but they were willing to put in the effort to make it work. They had rediscovered something important, the love and connection that had brought them together in the first place. The night before their trip to Italy, Mark found himself reflecting on the past few months. It had been a roller coaster of emotions, but he was grateful for the journey. They had come a long way, and he was hopeful for their future. Rachel came into the room, her face glowing with excitement. Ready for our adventure? Mark smiled, pulling her into a hug. More than ready. As they set off for Italy the next morning, Mark felt a sense of renewal. They were not just embarking on a vacation. They were embarking on a new chapter of their lives, one filled with promise and possibilities. And this time, they were doing it together. I hope you liked this story. Stay tuned for more. I put a link down below about something very interesting you'll like. Please check that out. Other than that, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for watching.